eternity. But Harley, we're back. It's the football
We
season.
we're back. We've been on summer break.
Yeah,
We've both been busy. We've come back. We're refreshed.
yeah,
We've been through pre-season. We're ready to go, aren't we?
yeah, yeah. Your fitness and conditioning has been well received in
Well,
pre-season.
exactly. I've put in the hard kind of graft with both of us getting the standards up
Yeah,
there, and I think it's paid off because season two, which I think that is what this is now.
yeah, yeah. We'll
I
go with
think it's
that.
going to
Yeah,
be, yeah, I think it's going to be a step up. It's going to be up another level.
yeah. And we both may even think and kind of agree on this. It might be that our second full season as a duo might bring us a bit more positivity to talk about.
I mean, it may well do, but it depends what happens on the pitch with that,
Yeah,
as we always know. But you know, I feel like for this second season, we're gonna try and be more positive.
yeah,
That's the goal of this season.
yeah,
We're gonna have a kind of an arc.
yeah. Normally, when things stick around too long and get into their second and third seasons, they drop off. But no, we're going to go full steam. We're going to slap you around the face with a bit of positivity to start the season, and then watch it all come crashing down.
Yeah, no, I've got no doubt that in December when it's freezing cold and we've lost 7 in a row, that I'm not going to be as upbeat as I am right now.
Yeah,
But the aim is to try.
but I think it is a time to be optimistic. I think the squad has, bearing in mind the injuries that we currently have, there's still a strong team and a strong bench, and it feels like we've got a really kind of broad squad for a change, and that I'd say we're not really lacking anywhere at the moment.
Yeah, and I think I really like this idea Flynn's got of keeping a big squad,
Yeah,
because I feel like even with the kind of, you could call it an injury crisis, and in a lot of other seasons we probably would, but because we've got that depth, but we also got like quality in depth,
yeah,
and I'm not that worried that someone like Gordon or Riley or McKenty is missing, because I know that we've got adequate cover. And in other seasons, it would have been like last season, it would have been a case of chucking someone who was a right back in at left back because the starting left back was injured, stuff like that, and it breeds uncertainty. And
yeah.
this season, with all these players we've got, I feel a lot more confident that if we do endure injury periods like we are right now, we're going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that take out the real long-term ones in Wilkinson and Aberdeen. But like you said, we've got McKenty, we've got Riley, we've got Gordon, and we've got Earring. And we're missing anyone that's injured?
I think that's it.
And you kind of look at it and you go, that's like, as and when these players start to come back, it just adds so much depth. And and what is also quite impressive is, yes, McKenty's going to be sent. Just talking specifically the players that are out injured, you've got a couple of them that are one position players. Earring is central midfield. He might be slightly in a more advanced or defensive role, but he's in the middle of the park. You've got players like Riley that really could play left wing back, right wing back, or anywhere across central midfield. And we've got a couple of those players in the squad that, like you said, in previous seasons when we've had the odd injury, and not even crisis, just the odd injury, we suddenly scramble into fit kind of like square pegs in round holes. But I think we've got a couple of really good utility players that are going to be key for the season.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you kind of look at it, when the squad on paper, I think when we've got a fully fit squad, we do have at least 2 players per position.
Yeah.
And I think that is huge.
Bigger benches, more subs. There's still going to be players missing out in a fully fit squad, which is good. It breeds competition.
Yeah, I think Flynn has absolutely nailed it, because it is easy to forget that the 5 substitution rule is coming in.
Yeah.
So having that that depth and that quality off the bench for 5 players to be able to come on and make a difference, that is game changing. And I think he's absolutely nailed it in the way that he's set up his transfer window.
Yeah, and we'll kind of move on to more like naming individuals now. I mean, I'm not expecting all 15 to work. That's just not how football goes. Like, it doesn't matter if you're Man City or Walsall. Like, there's going to always be a couple of players that just don't work out. But on the whole, I feel that we've got some more experienced and proven players with some exciting young blood. And it feels quite exciting. But who are your kind of maybe just 2-3 almost key players that you think are, or the 2 or 3 players that you are sort of think are our best or better signings?
That is a good question, because there are quite a lot of them that I do like. I think Owen Evans is a really good signing. I really like him.
From the back and go forward.
Yeah.
Because I think otherwise we're just going to start naming everyone anyway.
Yeah. So I think like Owen Evans, definitely. Defense, yeah. I like what Peter Clark brings in that experience. You know,
with the likes of Month and Daniels either side, or as a back three, I think that is a really strong League Two defence.
Yeah. And Liam Bennett is someone who I've been really, really impressed with. I think he's going to be superb for us this season.
Yeah.
I can honestly see, I think it's Cambridge he's come from, isn't it? I could see them potentially recalling him because of how good he's going to be, because he was almost in their first team.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Like, when he signed, quite a few Cambridge fans were surprised that they'd actually let him out on loan. Like, which is good for us if League One clubs are going, well, why are we getting rid of these players? And again, I think obviously we haven't seen him, but Gordon will be another strong candidate when he's back, like from injury, again, to sort of. And then when you throw in again Mackenzie, we've not really seen anything of him, but at 21, I think it was something that we said potentially in our last video, that it was make or break for some of the younger players like Tom Leake. And you kind of look and go, Mackenzie is an upgrade on Leake, in my opinion, or at least has the potential to be. Similar ages, but, you know, one's come through and played like youth international football, has played in like a Premier League academy side. It's the right type of player to bring in that, you know, probably will be on the fringes of the defence, but all players are going to need a bit of time on the sidelines.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I did put out on Twitter, I said that my bold prediction for this season is that I think Mackenzie is going to end up being our best centre-half by the end of the season.
That was a bold prediction.
Yeah. I mean, well, that was the point of it. But I think it's because the type of player that he is, I think if he can fit in that kind of right centre-half position, he's a ball-playing centre-half. He's making these progressive passes, and he's going to carry the ball further up the pitch. And when we're playing out from the back, that's going to be crucial. And I think maybe that's why I wonder a little bit about Month, Daniels and Clark. Is there a little bit of a lack of mobility in that back three? Yeah. And I think that Mackenzie, he can kind of slot in there and just be that man to kind of push the play forward from defence and kind of make a bit like Joel Matip in the way he kind of comes into midfield and carries the ball up the pitch. Yeah,
it's a different option. And for me, Flynn, obviously, I'm not counting the end of last season for Flynn, because you can see the changes that have made. You can't really judge him on what he was doing. He was clearly trying to test what he'd got and trying to really see how few players he was going to keep. But Newport, yes, it was the same system, but there were the tweaks in personnel to match the opposition. There's going to be times where we need a big physical ball clearing defence,
Yeah.
And there's going to be times that, it's going to be ugly defending. But then, like you said, there's times where we're going to need someone like McKenzie that can take the ball forward, potentially take it a little bit up the pitch and then get it to the wing backs, or like kind of pass it to someone like Earing or Hutchinson and let them sort of start creating. But that's what I kind of look at the squad. And I think that there's definitely systems that he will be playing with, and there will be clear tactics that, although it's the same 3-5-2, there's going to be a different almost setup and personnel.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of alluding to, exactly that. And I think even with Hayden White, I think if he does stay on with us, he's a good option to kind of play in at centre half, because he's got that mobility.
Yeah.
And I think it's crucial just having those different options.
Yeah.
And that's what I really like about this team, just having different options.
And again, White, I think last season, didn't he end up playing left back or left wing back, right wing back, and centre back? So again, he's someone that if you pick up a couple of knocks or the trophy games where you don't want to be starting, you start in 11, he's a good, competent player at League Two to kind of dip in and out the team, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if we're just touching on defences, the last person that I think we should speak about would be Taylor Allen, who's been filling in for Liam Gordon. And I think he's been excellent. I really do think. I'm not quite sure where his best position is, because I know he's been kind of playing in central midfield, but he can also kind of come onto that left-hand side and be that kind of left wing back, left back. And I think he's done a really, really good job, especially against Aston Villa. He was superb against Bertrand Traore.
Who's, let's face it, a really tricky player.
He is, yeah. And it's not just that he was doing one thing. It wasn't just his defending or his attacking. He was a really good offensively and defensively. He was able to use his kind of physicality to muscle him off the ball, but he was also playing some really, really good and incisive passes up the pitch and carrying the ball and progressing it. So I think whether he ends up being the starting left wing back, I don't know, but I think that he's a good option to have, and he's another person who can play anywhere, and I think there is a lot of competition for places.
I'm trying to think who, because there's like 4 players that I just completely get like mixed up, but I think it's interesting because I think with Clark, a lot of Norwich fans were surprised that he dropped as far down as League Two on loan.
Yeah.
Which, it was quite nice to see that obviously Dino has looked and gone, Flynn is going to develop him and going to utilise him and use him. So it's worth it. Right, let's move into midfield. If we start with, I don't even know where to begin with it, but I'm going to say that I think for me, you said that you think McKenzie's going to be best centre-back.
Yeah.
If I was putting a bet on now, I would say that I think Hutchinson will be our player of the season.
I think that's a pretty good shout. I really do.
It's a smart move because we've obviously kind of got him at a time where Derby were in turmoil. And I mean, I don't even know whether they offered him a contract and he chose to come here, or what the kind of the deal was, whether he rejected them, or we'd have probably had to have contributed something. But you get them at a time where they think any money, they will take it. I think he was the one that him and Danny Johnson are the two that I've been most excited by, signings wise. Excited as in because of their sort of like creative flair. So I think I'm really, really happy with Hutchinson. I think he's going to be a real quality player for us. And really, I think he's probably League One standard. Yeah.
No, he's been excellent. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see that kind of battle between Flynn Clark. Is it Flynn Clark? Yeah. Yeah, Glenn Clark, is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. It confuses me, that one does.
Yeah, it's yeah, there's just a few players that I was like, oh my god, we've just got so many. Like
Yeah. And yeah, so the battle between him and Hutchinson, because I think they're both really, really good players.
yeah,
And I think they both have the potential to kind of make this squad their own and be the player of the season. So I think
yeah,
that's gonna be an interesting dynamic to see how they both fit in and who's going to kind of come out on top. And I think that competition is going to be brilliant for both of them.
oh
And
yeah,
just kind of
absolutely,
throwing into the mix as well, kind of Ronan Mayer, who's kind of coming through.
yeah,
He's been excellent in pre-season. Now, I'm not sure if he's more of an 8 or a 10. It's kind of, I'm not quite sure just yet, but he is an
yeah.
attacking midfielder, and
You
which is his best position,
do
I'm
you?
not quite sure. But
To be fair, it feels like Mayer's another signing because
yeah,
sort of just out of nowhere has kind of put himself on the radar of the first team. And I don't think he will start at the weekend.
no,
But and I don't see him starting much. But I think he's done really well to kind of force himself into the mix.
yeah. I think what it comes down to is, I mean, he was really good last season in pre-season, but he never got an opportunity. And I think what it comes down to, I think kind of he's grown. Like
Yeah,
he's more physical now. He's a bit more of a man. Yeah, I think he's 17, so I think he was 16 last year. So I think he was still a bit young. Yeah, I think he's put on a bit of muscle mass. I think he's got more physical, and I think now is the time for him to make the step into the team.
yeah,
And over the course of the season, he's going to grow and grow and grow, and he's going to become a really, really big player for us, I think. And
yeah.
it will take a little bit of time, but I think he's definitely going to work his way into the starting 11 at some point this season.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether he will play. He will start games, but I don't
Yeah.
think he will get. I don't think he'll become a sort of
Mm.
starting player. If that makes
Yeah.
any sort of sense. I see him kind of playing a game here or there, and then
Yeah.
back on the bench, maybe out the team, dependent on how many players are fit. Then coming back in. I almost want to kind of say that in January, if he's sort of played the odd game here and there, potentially get a loan move to the National League or National League North South to give him just a run of games. Because, like you said, I think that will help him physically dropping down. But it might be too soon. It might not be right. But player that I think potentially raised eyebrows because they had dropped down to the National League and then have kind of come up is Brennan Comley.
Yeah.
But again, he's sort of, I think when he signed, fans thought he may be a bit part or a fringe player, but he's had a good pre-season and played himself potentially into contention. What are your sort of thoughts on the rest of the central midfield?
Well, I like Connor Conley. I think he's surprised a lot of players, and so surprised a lot of fans. And I'm not that surprised because there was a lot of I saw a few kind of journalists and stuff who kind of are kind of London based and have seen him play, and when he kind of came through QPR, and they said kind of, yeah, this is a good signing. Like you might not think it based on his career, but given the right kind of opportunity,
I think
he will flourish.
I forgot until sort of looking into it after he'd signed. He was actually, I know that Colchester have had a couple of bad years like ourselves, but he was part of the team that got to the playoffs and then got really badly treated by the owner.
Yeah.
And, that's not going to help things when you are kind of disrupted. And I think he's sort of flitted around a bit since. And probably needs a home.
Yeah, I agree.
He's at a good age where, if he sticks around for a couple of years and then extends another couple of years, we're going to have him for his real prime period. So, yeah, I think he's a really good addition.
And I think he offers something different, and he's more of a true six. I mean, Kinsella kind of can do the work of a six, but I think we've kind of found that he's best as an 8.
Yeah.
And I think Labadie, with him being out until December, January, February,
and that's
he's probably
back in training.
Yeah.
When he's back match fit, it's going to be, him and Wilkinson. I'm not trying to predict when they're coming back.
No. But I think
yeah,
it's having that kind of that true six, which I don't think we necessarily have, because I think even Labadie, he's a 6, but he can also play as an 8, and I think it's good having someone who is just that 6.
Yeah,
and I think he'll do all right. The only other person I think we've missed off that list is going to be Joe Riley, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. But again, do you see Riley in the midfield or as a wing back?
I don't know. I also find it weird he's got the number 7 shirt.
Yeah, I did. I was like, that's not the number I was expecting at all.
Because he did play. He had the number 7 in pre-season, I'm pretty sure, and he did play like on the right wing, which I thought was weird, but he did all right, to be fair to him. So I'm not entirely sure why he's number 7 or where he's going to play, because he can just play anywhere.
Yeah,
but I think he's a massive player for us. I just don't know where he's going to play. That's the problem, is because I don't know like how.
He's so versatile. I think it'll be like Kinsella, where literally you'd see Kinsella on a team sheet, and at times, like going back a few years, be like, cool. Can't really guess the formation because we're not sure where Kinsella's playing.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, but again, proven League Two player who is versatile in multiple positions and has proven that they can play in these, like, in a variety of positions. And we'll move forward. I came out with a pretty bold claim to you before we started recording.
Mm-hmm. You did.
I think this is the most well-rounded attack we have had since before the Dean Smith days. Yeah,
and we both agree on this. And I think it's important, before anyone gets upset, that we mean well-rounded
and depth
as a collective. Yeah, not as in the one best striker and some others.
Yeah, because Bradshaw will always live in here. Those 2 seasons are just brilliant. But what we mean by that is that I think I'm taking Wilkinson out of the equation for the time being, but Williams has shown that he's got a real touch of quality about him in pre-season, and he will be a big help, I think, for Abraham.
Yeah,
and it will be someone that can really guide him. But then the contrast between the two, with then Johnson in the mix, you've got a real fox in the box. And then you've got someone like Abraham that's going to just run through walls, and that's just going to have so much energy and pace about them that I think all 3 offer something completely different, and that's why it's exciting.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think that Abraham and Douglas Taylor-James, they're going to take a little bit of time to kind of figure out where they fit in. In terms of the squad, but we've got Johnson and we've got Williams, who are experienced. They're goal scorers. They know what they're doing, and I think the other 2, they have the potential to kind of come in and challenge them.
Yeah,
and I think Timmy, I'm glad we signed him. I really am, because I like him, and I like that he's a good kid. I mean, I say he's a good kid. I think he's like 1 year younger than me or something. Yeah. I call him a kid. Like the way Flynn speaks about him, like his attitude and the way he applies himself, I really like that, because I think, I want players at the football club who want to be there and who are kind of willing to kind of learn and,
Yeah.
are happy in being there. And I think that's a massive thing in terms of a player's development.
Yeah, I just wanted to. This was something that I wanted to look at, and I completely forgot to at the time. But when you look at, like we were saying about Johnson, I mean, for me, he's going to be the main man. But when people go, oh, well, he had one good season, true. But when you look at how he did in the league last season for Mansfield, he scored 4 in 22. Now, that is not good. But he only started 9 games.
Mm.
And looking through his sort of minutes, he's had like 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 1 minute here. And I don't think you can really take his Mansfield sort of stint as the true Johnson, because no striker's going to be scoring goals and banging them in like that. And that's my concern with Abraham. How much is he going to start? Is he going to be a bit part? What I just sort of, I don't know, but as a collective, I feel that they are a solid group. And then you've got Wilkinson to come back. Like, yeah, it's exciting for me. I'm quite excited by the prospects of the players that we've got. If I'm making a prediction, I can see James Taylor going back to Stoke in January, and I can see signing Johnson and Wilkinson coming back. That's just my prediction.
Yeah. I think with the 5 substitutions, I think that's really good for kind of Taylor James and is it Taylor James or James Taylor? We'll figure that one out.
To be honest, at one point,
like
I was going to call him Douglas Taylor. So,
Yeah. I feel like I say it different every time.
Yeah.
But, I think for those
Taylor.
Yeah. James Taylor.
Yeah.
Taylor, right. For him and Abraham, I think that the 5 substitutions mean that they're going to get more opportunities to get more minutes.
Yeah.
Because when, whatever you think of this kind of moving from 5 from 3 substitutions, it does allow us to have more flexible substitutions. It won't just be the same 3 that it kind of was before, because you got more chances to put strikers on, because that's kind of what you need. Sometimes you need to bring on kind of players for fitness and stuff, but having that extra 2 slots that can just be kind of for anywhere, really does help.
Initially was like, football's always been 3, and I get why it was 5 during COVID and all of that, but if it was under Matt Taylor, I would have been like, okay, well, we're just going to see the same, like you said, same 3 or 4 subs used every single time. Under Flynn, I feel that there's going to be options on the bench to, like you said, completely change it. And I feel that he's the right person to have 5 subs.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I feel that when we need to park the bus, he'll park it properly. When we need to go all out attack, he'll do that properly. If we need to get stuck in and more physical, he will change it to that. I just think that we've got someone that really understands the assignment.
I absolutely agree. And that's what's crucial. And like I said, that's why I said we've had such a good window, is because we've identified that there's 5 substitutions. He already does keep a big squad. I'm aware of that. So it's not like anything revolutionary for Flynn, but he's identified that other teams are going to try and take advantage of that too, and they're going to want the depth. So by us at least meeting that criteria, we're covering ourselves.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of clubs though that just don't have the numbers. Like, surprisingly so, actually, that chucking a couple of injuries to a team, like we've had a lot of pre-season where, for a large portion of that, we've had a number of players out.
Yeah,
and not just like McKenzie, we haven't seen him play. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
Like and then you've got obviously our two longer term injuries. Riley, we've seen bits and pieces of. Did we see Gordon?
No,
No, we
didn't see
didn't, did
Gordon.
we?
No, I think he got injured around like the Barnsley game, so that was before pre-season started.
Yeah,
Yeah, before the Villa game.
yeah, yeah. Because I think he did do. I think he did feature in a behind closed doors.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so it has been freak stuff. And again, Earring, like obviously we know what he's like, but can't remember how much preseason he's played in.
I don't think he's played in any of it because he did his Achilles, or he's inflamed his Achilles, which means he's kind of just been on the sidelines for most of it.
Yeah, because wasn't he going to come back and potentially be in a match day squad, and then after doing some run in it? Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head, but just want to touch before we kind of talk Trivella, because I think this is a bit of a segue in. What do you make of the reaction to the Danny Johnson 6-month loan signing?
At first, I was underwhelmed, but after kind of looking into it and seeing kind of what Mansfield have said, it does make sense.
Yeah.
There are definitely implications and elements to it. And I think that, yes, we could kind of, if he does really well with us, he could move on somewhere else in January. Yeah, we've seen that before. So it is a risk. But as Flynn said, the situation is that we did want him. We did want to buy him outright.
Well, we weren't we on personal terms with him?
Yeah, we were on personal terms, and then they changed their mind because I think they said that they wanted to bring someone in to replace him, and I don't think that's worked out for them. So then they've said we'll give him you for 6 months, but we will be at the front of the queue to sign him if he does well with us.
Which makes me think that there is an option to buy him there.
Yeah, there probably is.
And I looked and I went, there was a lot of criticism thrown at Trivella, and then the news came out. But then I've looked at what Clough said. I think he wanted rid. I think he was a bit like, he's only on loan. What's the point? Because he's basically said Johnson's not going to be around at Mansfield after January. And I also think that if, let's say, Johnson scores 13 goals between now and January, if he can replicate his Orient form and contribute to the team, let's just say top 10, let's talk hypothetically, or top half. If we're in and around the hunt for the playoffs, I'm not going to say in and around the playoffs, the hunt for the playoffs, and he goes back to Mansfield don't sell him, blah, 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 at least he has contributed to us getting to that position. And given the fact that in the past we've signed really poor, unproven players on loan as the solution to our striking defects, I will take Johnson on until January if that's all we're getting for. Especially when it's not a player and it's not us responsible. It's Mansfield have had a change of heart, and you can't really do anything about that.
Yeah. And if it doesn't work out, we haven't lost anything. So there is that bonus to it.
Now, we're recording this on Zoom, and Zoom have changed their policy. So after a certain amount of time, we have to go. So we're going to end the video here, and then start another one and edit them together. So we'll be back in about 2 seconds' time with Trivella Group. Look at that. No one even noticed. So Trivella Group, what's your initial kind of thoughts on Ben Boycott and co?
Initially, I was skeptical.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot of information out there on them, and we live in an age where every club at the moment seems to be going through a tough time with their owners, and getting a good owner is a very difficult thing. There aren't enough things in place in football at the moment to make sure that every owner of every football club is in it for the right reasons. So skepticism is kind of natural. But that being said, I think that he's come over, he's put himself across really well, and I'm genuinely excited for what Trivella can do for Walsall,
think,
because it could have
yeah,
been easy for them to pump in a load of money and then kind of go, well, that's it, that's what we're doing, you figure it out. But it looks like they're kind of taking a slower approach,
which I totally respect.
Yeah, definitely.
What I like about what they've done is it's like there's not made the massive marquee signing, like
No.
it's not like we've poached some like huge players from League One and the Championship that you're like, yeah, this is like amazing. What they've done is they have promised change with the Freehold and the Saddlers Club, and they have given Flynn the size squad that he wants, which for me is key. Like, Flynn wants a big squad. He's got a big squad. Yeah, that's my kind of view on it.
Yeah.
It is totally down to me that there's a new owner, because in the last 2 years I've gone abroad. In the last 3 years I've gone abroad twice for 2 weddings. Both times, all sort of had a new owner.
Well, this is it, Rob, and I think we really do. We do have you to thank, don't we?
Yeah, I was in doing a tour of the Guinness factory in Dublin when Lee Pomlet bought Walsall, and I was on a beach in Nice when Trivella Group bought Walsall. So if anyone's getting married abroad, let me know. Like, if Trivella's not working out, and also I think it's open to any clubs.
I was just going to say, I don't think that's exclusive to Walsall, is it?
No.
I mean, I think if your owners aren't, treating your club right, just book Rob a holiday.
Yeah. No, specific weddings. It's only holidays where the whole place is doing a wedding.
Yeah. So if you're having a wedding, make it a destination wedding and invite Rob, and things will happen. That's what we're saying.
And your club will get bought.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, I'm glad we got that out there.
No, that is important information.
Yeah,
that's a good business as well. Yeah,
we come to us.
Yeah, well, we're famously good businessmen.
Yeah.
So I think this is an avenue that we should explore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So my now fiance is looking at me going, abroad wedding. But we don't have that sort of money. Anyway, so it's been quite good early days for me of Trivella. They've not come in and done the whole like all guns blazing, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. They've targeted a couple of key areas, and they have so far delivered on it.
Yeah. The number one rule in business is undersell, over deliver. And I think that's kind of what they're doing. They haven't gone, we're going to buy the X, Y, and Z players. Next season we'll be in League One, the season after be in the Championship. It's very much they kind of understand what the fans want, and they're saying, look, we could do that, but Walsall could then go bust in 10 years. So we're going to take it slowly, and we're going to build up the club over time, which is absolutely the right thing to do.
I also think that I think it was needed, because Pomlet was getting to that point where, he'd be like, we've got a new signing coming in tomorrow, Tumbleweed. It wasn't working.
No.
But I'm glad that he's staying around, because he won't let things crash and burn.
No. And I think we said that. We've said that before. I think me and you have discussed this, and we kind of said it's really good that he's staying on, because it's continuity, and continuity is important. And I think a lot of credit does have to be given to Lee, because he got the club out of a difficult situation with being owned by Bonser. Things were going downhill, not rapidly, but there was an incremental decline.
Yeah.
And we needed a change.
I also think a lot of last season now makes sense when you look at the Fullerton thing. obviously, with Pomlet sorting this deal out and not being in the country or having to have Travella over instead, he did need someone to run the club.
Yeah.
Saying Fullerton was successful, but things start to make sense now.
Yeah. And I think he's obviously a fan, and he didn't like to see that the club was struggling, so he made the decision to buy the club. But I don't think he realised, one, how expensive running a football club is, and two, how do you run a football club? Because he said he ran businesses with 50,000 employees, and this is the hardest kind of job he's ever had, running a football club, because it is different. You know, there's a lot more pressure on your shoulders. And he was kind of, when you look back at it, he was always quite clear that he wasn't going to stay around forever until he died. You know, this was very much, let's get Walsall out of this situation.
Yeah.
And let's propel them forward.
I always sort of felt with that he would stick, not stick around at the club until the day he died, and that, but that he would, when it was time for him to move on, would still keep hold of some of the shares and stick around, because he loves the club and he has been involved from before he was the owner. But what I like is that, Travella have kind of given a few key areas that basically they will live and die by. If they don't sort the freehold out, and if they don't sort the Sadler's Club out, that's their kind of, sword that they will die by.
Yeah.
It's infrastructural change that is needed. Like the fan experience company, the fact that, we knew about that in January and it wasn't announced until months later, makes sense when there's an ownership change coming in.
Yeah.
When you look at sort of the fact that towards the end of last season, they started with the pop-up food stalls, makes sense because there's a new owner coming in. There's tiny little things. And I think if they can sort out the Sadler's Club, it will generate income on a match day.
Definitely.
And if they can use it so it's multi-purpose, even better. For me, the space in there should be able to be used more than just every other Saturday.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I think I'm looking forward to it. I'm not going to be like, we're going to, finish as champions this season, blah, blah, blah. But I think for once, I 100% believe we will end next season in a better standing than we ended last season.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the more information has been put out there about the owners, because there was a lot of misconceptions. A lot of people thought we were worth like 12 billion, and we're not.
No.
Just to be clear, there's just one man who is CEO of a company that has shares with people's money that's worth that much, but it's not his money. So we're not worth that much. Let's get that out there. I wish we were, but I'm excited, and I think we will end up in a better position. And I'm interested to see what happens, because I'm really intrigued by this kind of idea of a footballing network.
Yes.
And how that's going to work. Yeah. And that's something that I feel like that kind of doesn't get talked about enough, because we're at the cutting edge, essentially, of this kind of footballing network at this kind of level, because I don't know any other club in the EFL that is involved in this kind of thing. And with say again, are they?
Watford.
Okay, well,
Brentford.
Well, yeah. There you go then.
Sorry, Harley. But
you've ruined my point. But
and
clearly I didn't know that. But
I'm not going to edit that out.
No.
But no, Barnsley are more of the model that I think Travella will go. You're going to ask me who, and I think they've got a Scandinavian team, they've got a French second division team, and I can't remember the others. But what that group does, the only reason is because I read this on The Athletic like a year ago. is that they have a model that they take, and it's a blueprint for every single club.
Yeah.
So they move around like either a chief exec or like a director of football that implements the same style, a similar coaching system, a youth system. Basically, they have a DNA that they take club by club. I don't know what I think about that, because when you look at Barnsley, like, for example, Barnsley under Valerian Ismail compared to, I don't even know who the manager is now, but it's a completely different structure under someone like him. And that's why I think those sort of like blueprints, if you are too rigid with it, don't work, because then you don't allow for the like individual manager to stamp their mark on a team.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. And I don't necessarily want us to go down that route of the blueprint. I want to be more about kind of a collective of football clubs, with kind of shared ideas.
Yeah.
It's about making each individual club the best club that they can be, and having a bit of a network. And that's where I hope this goes, and say that we can kind of loan some players from some different countries, and maybe they can take some of ours, and we can kind of compare and contrast how the football clubs are run, and develop relationships.
I think that's, whereas that's where I think I couldn't even name them, but I think the group that run Barnsley, literally, like, they have one guy that goes in, has like 2 years at a club, and then leaves, and then goes to another club, does it up. Whereas, I think a shared network, but not like Watford and Udinese, who just trade players left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
But a more kind of settled version of that would be quite nice.
But also, the more different clubs that we have in this group, let's call it a collective, whatever you want to call it, think of the pre-season tours. If we have one in like Mexico, like America, like Sweden, Italy, that would be amazing. I'd love that.
And that's how optimistic Harley's got, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about holidays, really.
Yeah.
That's the most exciting bit is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to go on holiday and watch Warsaw at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even remember the last time Walsall played abroad. Maybe they had a game in Scotland at some point.
No one wants to go to Scotland, do they? Let's be honest.
Right, I think it's time we move on to some questions. I think the first one that will go down is, oh God, where are all these questions? Geez, I had this all lined up. Is we're going to go to Phil Evans, and who are kind of touching on from like the Travella chat that we've just had. And Phil has asked, with so much change, what would you consider to be a successful season this time? I'm very intrigued to see what you would say. So I'll let you go first.
I've kind of put it out there that I expect us to be in the hunt for playoffs. And that doesn't mean we have to get playoffs, but I want to have something to play for come April, May. I want to have a realistic shot at getting the playoffs. And I also want to have a good enough season to the point where we have maybe a couple cup runs, advance through the groups and of the respective trophies, and also not sack the manager because he's doing well. I want to have a season where we keep the same manager because he's doing well.
Really caught me off guard. Not sack the manager. Yeah, I think I agree. I've kind of, every season we've been in League Two gone, I think 7th is where we'll finish. Yeah. I think with the amount of change, and I'm not just talking about off the pitch, but with the vast number of players on it, I would be happy with 10th.
Yeah, I was thinking about 10th. As long as it's a competitive 10th.
Yeah, and I think
if we finish 6 points off 7th, then yeah.
I mean, like, historically, over the time that we've been in the league, the team that's finished in 10th or kind of, even just top half, because if you're top half, there's only 5 teams that don't make the playoffs. It it means that you do get to like that February, March time. And if you're in the top half, you're in the hunt for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Especially like last season. Like if you're the top half, you're sort of only like 2 points off. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, like you said, to be in that mix, not necessarily to finish in the playoffs, but to be in that mix. And, you know, even if we got to April and we were still kind of going, we could, and it's a realistic we could.
Yeah.
Amazing. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And for me, I'd love it to be in the FA Cup, but just a cup run.
Yeah.
You know, like when we had like the game, the season with like where we played Chelsea. Yeah, right. It was only like the third round. It wasn't a cup run, but we actually won a couple of matches and got to playing a Premier League team, and it was incredible.
Yeah,
it was in the Carabao, not the FA, but it was, you know, that type of run where I don't mind if we get knocked out in the third round of the FA Cup if we've just had like Spurs away. Like,
yeah,
just to get to those rounds where for once we're actually like there.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. It's just, I want us to have a season that's enjoyable.
Yeah.
Not exiting every cup early, not feeling like at January, February that kind of when we're not anywhere near the playoffs and, you know, it's just going to be another one of those seasons. Yeah, I want a season to springboard us into next season, because I feel like that would be, if everything goes to plan, the season after this one coming is the one where we would go and win the league potentially. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I am just like to see us have like good runs and like win, like go into games going, we can win. Like,
yeah,
just win and keep the hold of a manager. That's
yeah.
Good question from Alex Bailey. When are you going to get a haircut?
It's a great question, because it's multifaceted. Because yes, technically, I still have long hair, but it does get cut. So I'm having it cut Tuesday, but I'm just having a skin fade, and this is staying the same.
Right. Okay.
Because this has been the same since February.
Yeah.
It's not been touched. So when am I going to get this sorted? Is anyone's guess.
Who knows? But we can confirm that Harley is getting a haircut of some sort.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yes. So put that in your calendars.
Yeah. So yeah, I just thought you would like to address that publicly.
Yeah. No, Alex, he's very concerned about my hair. Every time I go to a match, he asks me when I'm going to have it cut, and the answer is when inspiration strikes.
So basically, when like I don't know, if Connor Wilkinson comes back and scores a hat trick on his first game back, you're gonna get like the skin fade and it's short. But you know, if Danny Johnson's top scorer this season, you cut it in Diet Ginger. So who knows?
Yeah. I could go the route of Manny Month and kind of not Manny Month, Donovan Daniels, and have like the kind of the dreads type thing.
I want to see.
I'm not quite sure I could pull it off with the same elegance that he does, but
no, not at all. That's why I want to see it. Like, I've got such a receding hairline. I've only got a few years. This is just my stock haircut now for life.
Yeah.
It's a battle that I'm losing rapidly. Right, we have got Jack Clark, and I'm going to tie in Luke Jones' questions together. Jack Clark's asked favourite signing so far, and Luke Jones has said, who in your opinion is our best signing? Who surprised you the most in pre-season, and are we happy with Flynn's business? So yeah, if we go favourite and who's most impressed first.
See, that's a tricky one, because I was very prepared to say Joe Riley, and then he got injured. And I feel like I can't say him now because I haven't seen him play. Because beforehand, I was like, yes, he's like, because I think he was the game-changing signing that they were talking about.
Yeah.
So I can't go with him. So I think Liam Bennett would be my next favourite signing.
Okay.
Because I think he's going to be really, really good for us.
And who has impressed you the most?
Ronan Mayer has been excellent for me. He's been really, really good. He's stepped up and he's looked so confident against Aston Villa and Coventry, the games that I've seen. Against good teams as well.
I was already going to disagree with you on the first one. I was going to say Hutchinson. I think he's going to be.
It's a great shout, yeah.
I do think he will be in contention for Player of the Season, which means he won't be now. And for me, it's going to sound like a really weird one, but I think it's been Williams.
Because that is a good shout.
Because for a completely different reason, yours, like Mayo has impressed because really no one called it that he was going to come back, and all right, he might have featured in pre-season and done all right, but to have really upset the apple cart in terms of starting or even forcing his way on the bench, But the reason I say Williams is because he signed, he's 35.
Is he? I thought he was 33.
I've got
This is where he's 34.
He is 35.
He is? Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I'm on it with facts today. Can't name the
You
player,
are.
but facts. So, like Williams, obviously he a couple of years ago had been part of a promotion-winning side. Last season, didn't really have the most fruitful of times with Cheltenham. Leaves them 34, 35. And I think when he signed, I was like, okay, we've got someone who's experienced, but he is 35. But for me, he's had a really solid pre-season and looks very comfortable on the ball. He looks like if you give him the opportunity, he will score. So that, for me, he's kind of impressed me the most because I think he's the one that's changed my opinion the most. So that's my answer to that.
That's pretty fair set of players. Yeah,
it's not a question, but Snowy Snow has said, "Oh, this will be good." Thank you.
I'm glad someone enjoys it. Yeah.
The one view that we get. Thank you. We now know who it is. Now, the one that's kind of cropped up today. Lee Plant has asked, no number 10 in the squad numbers released today. Do we expect another striker to come in? Will it be an attacking midfielder? Who would you fancy for either position that might be available? I know Flynn said he wanted signings, but I don't know. It makes me wonder whether Mayer has almost taken the place of a signing.
Yeah.
That I don't know whether I'm expecting anyone to come in. I'm quite happy with this being the squad, unless one of the injuries is more long-term that we don't know about. But
yeah, I find it interesting. I expect at least maybe another one through the door. I think based on just one player kind of just through the door. I don't know what position, to be honest, because Flynn was saying that right now we have a kind of squad of about 16, 17 players because of injuries.
Yeah.
And I think he wants more than that. So it could just be another 6-month loan.
I was going to say,
I expect maybe another kind of wing back or a centre half or a midfielder maybe. But I expect at least one more to come through the door. Because we've got 4. We've got Johnson, Flynn Clark, Bennett, and James Taylor. Obviously, so that's one space left, isn't it?
Yeah.
5, yeah.
Yeah. I did not realise Kiernan was only on a 6-month loan.
Yeah, no, he is. Yeah. And I think Flynn has said himself, he said last week, he's hopeful that we'll get someone in this week. Whether we do or we don't, that's...
Yeah, I mean...
That's its own thing.
I don't know whether that was Abraham. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm not looking going, we are desperate in this position.
Yeah.
But I do think that, looking at potentially, like you said, some defensive cover.
I am surprised though that number 10 shirt is vacant because, obviously it's a very popular number. You'd think Hutchinson or Clark would take that number. You think they'd want it. So are we holding it in reserve, or is there just generally a reason that we don't know as to why no one wants it?
Yeah, maybe because Osadibi had it.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. We have to retire the number for him.
Before we get on to our final question, I've got something I want to ask you, actually, that I was going to when we were talking about midfielders before.
Mm-hmm.
Holden or Hutchinson?
What do you mean? Do you mean as in right now, as in the players they are at the moment, or like a prime Holden versus a prime Hutchinson?
No, as in as they stand now.
I'd say Hutchinson. I think I wouldn't have Holden back now because I feel like he kind of burnt a little bit of a bridge with us by going to Vale and kind of.
I was sound like his mother. I was disappointed in him, but I look and I go, I don't want us wasting a wage.
Yeah.
Like, especially with 2 ACLs, having Holden as an unknown quantity as to what player we're getting, how fit he's going to be, how many games he's going to play. I kind of feel that, all right, it was great when you were playing well, but really, how many good games did we get out of you?
Yeah.
So I would rather have Hutchinson, who maybe doesn't have the potential to go on and be as successful as Holden could if he could get a whole seasons and stay fit. But I don't see Flynn really caring that much because he probably wants players who can play.
Yeah. I think it would. I understand why he's gone because he was kind of Daryl Clark's man, and Daryl Clark believes in him, and he's the one who brought him to the club, and he's the one who, if anybody's going to give Holden the game time, it would be Daryl Clark, and it's a league above, so it's a step up for him. So I don't necessarily blame Holden that much, but I think that I'm a bit disappointed because I think we put time into him, getting him fit, and I think we kind of hurt ourselves quite a bit by waiting for him.
Yeah.
Because the entirety of last season, we were waiting for him to come back, and we never had a true kind of 10 because of it.
But morally, you can't cancel the guy's contract, or like it just. Yeah, I think for me, Walsall acted in the right way. They have tried their best to get him fit. They have offered him the opportunity to come back. He's then rejected. That's ball in his court. Yeah.
I think it would have been a kind of a pay-as-you-play type thing with him here, and maybe he's getting a better deal at Vale because they've got a bit more money. Now they can kind of.
Him.
Say again.
Have they actually signed him, or was the last that we heard he was training with them?
I don't know. I feel like they've signed him though, because I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, you'll have to look this one up, Rob. Google. Yeah. Google is your best friend.
News. Last news was in the Stoke Sentinel 2 weeks ago, where Clark said that Rory Holden has the potential to be a great asset, and that I think the last was that he was training with them. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, it's 15 months where he's not played football. Like, it's for me, it wasn't a loss because
it's not a loss.
Wage and get someone in that can play even just 30 games a season.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame the way it worked out, but I don't think now that his contract is up with us, I don't think we've necessarily lost anything, like you say. So I'm okay with him leaving. I just it just doesn't feel great the way he kind of did it and where he's gone.
Yeah.
Because there is kind of history there.
Yeah. Moving on to our final question. Ryan has asked, will the main difference from previous seasons be our squad depth and the smaller drop in the talent of in the level of talent between them? Or is it just wishful thinking? I think generally as a fan base, I think now that Johnson and Abraham have signed, like we've just said, there's not the gaping hole where like a couple of years ago we had one winger or barely had a striker or, you know, makeshift right back or there's not those gaping holes. I think the difference for me this time is a proper blend of proven League Two ready players mixed with a bit of experience from League One and a tiny bit from the Championship, and then some also exciting youngsters. I think it is the good blend. I think in the past we've been over reliant on too many hot prospects.
Yeah. What was the question?
Will the main difference from previous seasons be our squad depth and the smaller drop-off in the level of talent between them, or is this just wishful thinking?
Yeah, I kind of got lost in your words then.
Thanks.
As what you were saying, I was really listening, and I was just, yeah. Anyway, yeah. I think. See, I say this every year, but it feels different from any other year, and I think we've gone in the opposite direction to what we did last year, which, you know, when they say, you know, get a manager, get exactly what the last guy wasn't.
Yeah.
Because if so, and I think with Matt Taylor, what it was marquee signings. So it was your Connor Wilkinson, your Josh Labadie, your Manny Month. And then the rest of the squad was kind of filler. And it was just these kind of random people. You had your Zach Millses and people like that.
Yeah.
Who weren't that good, you know. But this year, I feel like we've got more people who are at a more similar level. Yes, we might not have had exactly the marquee signings that we did last year.
I'd say that Johnson is a marquee signing.
But last year, I think that we made 3 marquee signings and then some kind of meh players.
Yeah.
Whereas this year, I feel like maybe there's 1 or 2 marquee signings, if you can call them that. But it's a good squad. And I feel like it's a bit of a squad of Liam Kinsella's.
Yeah, hard work.
Yeah, there maybe not the kind of shining light, maybe not the kind of first name people think of when they think of that league, but they're damn good players. They give everything, and they're very underrated and appreciated. And I think that's kind of what you need, that kind of squad with the depth and those kind of characters, because it seems like he's built a squad with a good character in it. There's a lot of kind of positive people in that squad who can help each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's going back to that kind of Warsaw of old of the no knobhead policy.
Yeah.
Which I've always been a big fan of. And I think that's the type of environment that helps you to win leagues and move up the divisions. So I think it is wishful thinking, but I don't think it's mental. I really don't. I think there is something to it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that obviously there's always going to be that element of wishful thinking to start a new season, but like you said, there's a lot of hard work in this team, and that does account for a couple of places in this division. It's then just getting a solid sort of foundation at the back and putting away chances that we've been guilty of not doing over the years. And if you can remotely start doing that, you can be top half. So we've got a couple of minutes left. Quick fire question.
Go for it.
Who's going to be player of the season?
Who's going to be player of the season? I mean, it's difficult to look past Liam Kinsella, but I think potentially I think Donovan Daniels is up there for me.
All right. So you locking in Daniels?
Do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to lock in Daniels because I really think he is one of the better centre halves in League Two, and I think he's going to grow into this team and really lead them. So yeah, I'm. It probably won't be him. In fact, I know it won't be him because I've said it's him.
Well, yeah, I've already kind of put my stall out and said Hutchinson. Young player of the season, I'm going to guess that you're going to say McKenty.
If I feel like it's between McKenty and Mayer but I think it depends on who's going to play more because they're both going to have the opportunities to get into the squad, but it's going to be a bit of a slow burn for them. I don't think it's going to, they're not going to be guaranteed starts. I think McKenty's going to have to do some work to get fit and get himself in the team.
I'm going to say Bennett.
That's a great shout. I do like him. I do like him.
But I completely understand your reasoning.
Yeah.
And then who is going to be top goal scorer?
See, that's a tricky one because it would be between Johnson and Williams. I feel like Johnson's more likely to score more, but would Johnson be with us the entire season? Whereas I know Williams will be.
Yeah.
I think
that's the toss-up.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with Johnson because I think he will stay the season.
I agree. My other thought was that I think he'll score enough in the first half of the season compared to potentially, obviously, like Wilkinson coming back or whatever. But just to like contradict, I'm going to say Williams. Just because you said Johnson. Right.
Exactly. Variety is the spice of life.
We've got about a minute left of this call. Any other ones that you want to chuck in there for the predictions? Anything?
I think we are going to be in the top 5 lowest conceding sides.
Wow. Bold. And I'm going to say that the first time in League Two, since we've been relegated, that we're going to finish 9th.
I think we're going to finish 10th.
Well, we'll remember this and come back to it at the end of the season when we're champions and Timmy Abraham scored 30 goals. Harley, again, it's been a pleasure as always. I look forward to our end of August chat and hopefully a few wins under our belt. And thank you everyone for your questions and watching.
Brilliant. Thank you guys for watching. And season 2 is going to be the best season yet.
Yeah. And if we get promoted, we'll just end it there and be like, our work is done.